We're going to welcome everybody out there to another edition of the Talk of Tuckahoe. I'm Tom Doherty, Tuckahoe Trustee, and each program we've done over the last year, I've said we've had some very special programs, but I don't think any more exciting than the one we're going to do today. And with me is pilot Ed Bonci. Ed, it's great to have you on our program today. Ed is a resident of the village of Tuckahoe. He lives over on Verde Avenue with his family, and today Ed is he's been good enough to ask Tom Kennedy and I to join him as we take a visual view of Tuckahoe from above. Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about your flying background? I know you told me recently that you had your first flight at 13 years of age.
13 years of age, I took a sky ride right out of Bridgeport Airport. I was just fascinated with the airplanes flying overhead all the time, and I said, hey, I want to try it. So I went ahead and did it, and I was hooked right then and there.
Now let me ask you, when you first said you got hooked on flying, how'd your family feel about that? Did you know at that point that you wanted to be a pilot?
In fact, yeah, that's right. At that particular point, I wanted right away. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah.
The particular plane that we're going to be flying today is a Cessna. Now, why don't you give us a little bit of the details about the type of plane we're going to be flying today?
Okay, if you can see it back here, it's a Cessna 172. It's a four-seat airplane, high wing, and one of the most popular airplanes that is built today.
One of the things as we looked around, we had come up here earlier to you show me some of the pre-flight things that you do and check the plane. But one of the things that I wanted to show our viewers, if we could, was this right over here. Ed, why don't you tell our viewers what this little instrument is here?
Okay, this is the pitot tube. It's from the French word pitot, P-I-T-O-T, and this is what registers our airspeed. As we're flying through the air is coming through this little hole here, coming up and going through the gauge that registers on the instrument panel.
Now, one of the things that we spoke about, the plane that we're going to be flying in today, the Cessna, how fast will we be traveling? I mean, when you're in a bigger plane, you've flown DC-9s and the really big commercial airlines, I mean, you're traveling 400 or 500 miles an hour, correct?
This particular one will only be going about maybe 90 miles an hour,
yeah.
Okay? Maybe about 2,000, 3,000 feet up in the air.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, is that we're actually going to have a very nice view over the village. I mean, we'll only be 2,000, like you said, 2,000, 3,000.
Over the village will be exactly 1,500 feet because we're right below the airspace for LaGuardia Airport. So we have to stay away from the big boys that are coming into LaGuardia. So we have to stay at 1,500 feet or below. So that's what we'll do, and and you can't pick a more beautiful day for this.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I think Tom Kennedy, who's our videographer with me today and helps me put these shows together, Tom and I both, I think, have a little bit, not that we have a fear of flying, but I think we're a little uncomfortable with flying, and we're hoping that today sort of gets all those fears out of the way.
I'll try to put you at ease today, okay? Like I was telling you earlier, it's a little windy, but it should smooth out a couple of 100 feet in the air. As we're climbing out, it might be a little bumpy just because of the wind hitting the uneven earth over here.
Now, we're at Westchester County Airport, and Ed, when we were inside, you were telling me the route that we're going to be taking. Why don't you share with our viewers what you anticipate our route's going to be as we head down to Tuckahoe?
Okay, well, looks like right now I checked the weather. They're going to be using runway 29, so that's going to take us off to about the northwest. Probably go over, well, we'll take off, try to go straight out. We'll ask the control tower, and if they're not busy, they'll accommodate us. We'll fly over Kensico Reservoir, the dam over there, and then we'll just try to head out towards the Hudson River.
So we'll see the Tappan Zee Bridge and all the traffic at rush hour.
Right, and we'll pass right over it, and we won't have to pay a toll.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. I know we're looking forward to this, and I know we're going to have a lot more questions once we're in the air, particularly as we get over the village of Tuckahoe. But like I said, we want to thank you for allowing us to join you today. We appreciate it.
Sure thing. I'm glad you could come with me. One other thing, though, like I was telling you earlier also, this is going to be a visual flight. We're not going to be under radar or anything like that, so All you guys in the airplane have to help me look for airplanes.
That's important. A few seconds ago, Ed said to us that we have to look out for airplanes as we're up there, and I think Tom and I both had the impression that everything's going to be on radar, so we'll keep our eyes open. And
something, let me know, and we'll just try to avoid them.
Is there any code? Do we just yell head on?
Just tell me traffic is, you know, say an airplane is at 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock.
Now, one of the things you said was that if, for instance, if you see something oncoming, it's up to both pilots to make a right turn?
Right, it's known as see and avoid, okay? If the other gentleman doesn't see you, then you just do, if he's coming right at you, normally the course of action is for both of you to make a right turn.
Okay.
Now, if he's going more towards the right, well, then you can wave that and you can go to the left. It all depends on the individual circumstances while you're there.
Good. Well, listen, Ed, why don't we head into the plane and take off?
Okay.
Great.
All right.
What I'd like to do, Ed, is to give our audience an idea about what goes into what you call your pre-flight check, and I know there's a number of procedures that you have to follow. So why don't you give our viewers a little rundown about what you do when you first get into the plane?
Okay, Tom. First thing we do is we come into the airplane and we want to put the master switch on. This is just hooked up to the battery, so we turn this on, and we want to check the fuel quantity. Okay? They both show full, but we always want to double check visually, so we'll get on top a little later on to make sure we actually have the fuel that's indicated over here, because just unlike a car, you can't pull over to the side of the road if you have a problem. Okay? That should put you at ease, shouldn't it, Tom? Okay, then
We've heard a lot of bad airplane jokes in the last half hour.
Oh, boy. Okay, and we just want to make sure all the radios are off, and we're discharging here, which is normal because we have the battery on, and we have our rotating beacon on. That's a little red light that flashes on the tail. We just want to look out, make sure that that's working, and it's working. And that's pretty much it for the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then once we get up in the air, we'll take a look at all the different instruments that you have on your panel.
That sounds good.
All right, let's take a look outside.
Okay. We finished with the interior. Now we just come back out here and we just progress backwards here, and we have a baggage door. Just want to make sure the baggage door is closed. I like to make sure it's locked also because I don't want any unexpected surprises up in the air.
We certainly don't want Tom's video equipment falling out.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
a good point.
Come back here, you just want to check, this is the empennage. This is the tail section of the airplane. This is what the rudder and the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator are attached to. You can see that the airplane is riveted together. Very strong process. And what you're checking for is just you want to make sure there aren't any pop rivets. You have a pop rivet or any kind of rust around a rivet, you want to bring it to maintenance's attention. But
then it'll start peeling off if that happens.
But also a pop rivet or loose rivets would indicate that maybe someone flew the airplane and they exceeded the structural load on the airplane, put it into a nosedive or something like that. So you want to make sure. Okay, we just come back over here, checking general condition of the airplane. Right here's the horizontal stabilizer.
And what does this do in flight?
This just stabilizes the back of the airplane. What this does is the elevator over here is attached to it. It's a hinged surface, and the way we let me just say, okay, the way we control the elevator is with the control wheel or the yoke inside the flight deck there. We pull back and forth, connected through pulleys, bell cranks, etc. So that's going to make sure it goes up and down.
Is it going up and down?
It is going up and down. Why don't you give it a try? Okay. You gotta make sure that you don't feel any kinks. There's no stopping. It's just nice and smooth. Okay. And you can see it's just attached with 1, 2, 3 on this side and 3 on the other side with the nuts and the bolts. Make sure, same thing. You just want to make sure that no nuts are loose and all nuts have cotter pins in them. It's just a safety feature.
Right.
Okay. Come down here and you can see the actual inner workings here, Tom. You can see where the cable over here is connected to the front of the airplane. All right. So you just want to make sure that everything appears to be normal. Okay. We're not really mechanics, so we can't get too in depth.
Sure.
But it's just a visual inspection. Same thing with the rudder. You can see the rudder right here. The way we control the rudder in the airplane is by using the foot pedals. Same thing, connected through cables, and it moves the rudder left and right. So you want to make sure that the rudder cable is all connected.
Well, the thing that's surprising is that when we get into a car and start our own car, obviously it's a little different. You're not 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet in the air, but still, we don't go through these type of precautions in checking the different, parts of the car, and I guess that makes being a pilot a little bit more intense.
True, yeah. Well, like I said earlier, it's not like a car where if you do have a problem, you can pull it off to the side of the road. If you have a problem, you're going to have to come down. And
now, how long did it take you in training, Ed, before you're able to get your pilot's license?
Like I said, I started when I was 13, but in order to get a license, the first license, which is the private pilot's license, you have to be 17. That's the minimum age. I got my license at 17. The earliest to solo or to fly by yourself is 16, and I did that. In fact, I even soloed before I even drove a car.
Oh, really?
In fact, my mother had to drive me to the airport so I could go fly by myself in an airplane.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
From there, you progressed, as you progressed to the bigger planes, and I guess that's just a case of getting the proper training with them?
Right, it's just accumulating hours, experience flying, and then you get your what's called your instrument rating, and that allows you to fly on other than days like today, which are really nice. Fly through clouds, rain showers, things like that, ice, snow.
Now, is there a type of plane or commercial plane that you're not able to fly, or are you qualified to, like a DC-9, I guess?
Well, I've flown DC-9s, MD-80s, I've flown Bach 111s, which are just all twin-engine jets, but what we do in that situation is we have what's called an airline transport pilot rating and also a commercial pilot's license. I have both of them. That allows me to fly for hire. Now, when I get hired, depending on what company I go with, they have certain types of airplanes. Now, the FAA says in order for you to fly that airplane, you have to go through that company's approved training program. So I could actually fly a 747 if there were an emergency, but in order for me to fly it legally, I'd have to go through the training program. But all airplanes are basically the same. It's just the different systems, the different speeds that they fly at, and etc. there.
Oh, good. Because I have a number of questions, and I think that'll be interesting, because like I said, you helped me in terms of my different thoughts I had on flying, and I'd like to share them with the viewers, but we'll do that once we're up in the air, okay?
You know what, actually, we brought up with the MD-80s, and the larger airplanes are actually easier to fly than the smaller airplanes.
Yeah, that's what you were saying to me.
Yeah, it's just something. These feel the bumps a lot more. It's just a little more sensitive than a larger airplane.
Well, Ed, that's good to know. I can see Tom and I are real happy to hear that as we get to go up.
As we come up here, Tom, we just want to check the rudder again. Like I said, just make sure that all the nuts are secure, have cotter pins. This is just a navigation antenna up here. And there's the rotating beacon, that red beacon up there. And same thing on this side. It's just a repeat of what we did on the other side.
Now, why did the red beacon go off?
I turned the master switch off.
Oh, okay.
See, what they do is, just for safety reasons, when you put the beacon on, or when you put the master switch on, that's going to be right before you start the engine.
I see.
So someone on the ramp will see a flashing light, and they'll hopefully take that into account that an engine's going to start. Just a safety precaution. Same thing coming around here, Tom, checking all the rivets. You want to get the underside. And also, while you're under here, it's a good time to check, make sure there's no leaking fluids. You don't have any leaking oil, hydraulic fluid, or anything like that. You know, you'd see it dripping. So you get a good vantage point down here. And up here, same thing. Check the window, make sure it's nice and clean, so Tom can get some good pictures. This right here is a flap. This slows you down, and it also increases lift on takeoff to make you climb at a steeper climb angle in a shorter amount of runway.
Now, what did you say, when we're taking off, we'll be going about 85, 90 miles an hour down the runway?
We'll go down the runway, and we'll actually rotate. Rotate is the term for pulling back on the yoke to a takeoff attitude. We'll actually rotate at about 55 or 60 knots.
Okay.
All right, just about 60 miles an hour, 62 miles an hour.
All right.
Here's the flap. Check the flap track, make sure it's okay. This is the actuating arm. Make sure that's got play in it. We don't want this broken because then the flap won't come down. These flaps, unlike the plane I fly now, the plane I fly for a living, these are electric flaps. Flaps I fly have
hydraulic.
hydraulic.
Right.
So if you have hydraulic failure, then you have more problems. But there's redundancy in those systems also. This right here is the aileron. This is also connected to the control wheel in the airplane. We said we pull back and forth, that's with the elevator in the back, but also we turn, that's going to move these ailerons, hinge surfaces on the trailing edge of the wing. Just check.
So also the wing is where the gas is.
Right, we have 2 tanks, and each tank holds 20 gallons, so we have a total of 40 gallons on board, and you usually use about, in cruise flight, about 9.5 gallons an hour. So you have several hours, 4 or 5 hours to fly.
So Tom, we have enough gas for the flight. That's important, Tom.
Over here, just like in a ship, we have navigation lights. Going to have a green one on the right wing, red one on the left wing, and a white one in the tail. So at night, if you see a green light, you know you're looking at another airplane's right wing, so you know which direction he's going. Okay? Come around here, we check the leading edge of the wing. You can see we have a lot of bugs here. It's bug season. So it's the same thing. You're just checking for any pop rivets. This is the strut. This just gives you extra visibility. Just clean our window for us. That's awfully nice of them. Okay. This is our strut. This just adds strength to the wing. So up here and up on top here, Tom, this is where we have the fuel tank, and that's where the fuel cap is. So I checked inside the airplane, and we had full fuel, but we also want to just double check it visually. And it looks good. We can put you at ease.
Is that super unleaded?
It's 100 low lead, actually.
Okay.
Okay, over here, this is just is just a vent for fresh air. It's going to get awfully hot in the airplane, so we'll go ahead and open this and it'll keep us cool.
Good.
Over here, the engine's here. This is a 160 horsepower Lycoming engine. Horizontally opposed, air-cooled. We just want to check the oil.
It has a minimum of 4, right?
Holds a minimum of 4, maximum of 7, and we have 6 quarts, so we're good.
Now you gonna squirt the thing out, or you've done that already?
No, I'll do it for you. In fact, I'll let you do it. Tom, get a picture down under here. I'll show you what Tom's doing. Okay? That's just the sump drain. That's the lowest part of the fuel system. If there's any dirt or water or any sediment like that, that's where it's going to collect, and by pulling that, you're going to release it and hopefully get all the contaminants out of the fuel system. Okay, down here, check the nose wheel. Now, on the ground, Tom, as we're taxiing around to maneuver to the runway, we're going to be also pushing the foot pedals. I told you earlier they're going to operate the rudder in the back, but they're also controlled down here through the nose wheel, so that'll allow us to turn right or left. Okay. Here's the exhaust for the engine. You just, same thing. You have a lot of screws. You want to make sure the screws are all secure. Okay?
Then we want to check for birds.
Exactly. Birds love to nest in the cowling of the airplane, so you always want to take a peek in. And why don't you check the left side for me? I'll check the right. Looks free of birds. In fact, if we do have a bird in there when we get down, well, at least we'll have a cooked bird. How do you like them? Rare? Medium?
So I told our viewers the jokes haven't stopped.
Okay, we have the propeller now, very important part of the airplane. The propeller is actually just like another wing. It's a wing going in a horizontal direction. And you just want to check the leading edge. The propeller rotates this way. So you want to check the edge of the propeller for any nicks or cracks, because if you do have a nick or a crack, that's going to lead to a larger crack and then eventually a break, and you don't want, and that'll have an adverse effect on the airplane. If you look over there, Tom,
Just a little one.
You'll see there's a Saab 340 right there. That's the company I work for, and that's the exact airplane. That's the plane I fly right there.
That's the plane that's coming out right now?
Yeah, that's a Saab 340 that holds 34 people. It's a Delta connection airplane. It's we feed Delta Airlines in Boston, LaGuardia, and JFK. But that's the airplane I fly. In fact, I start a trip on Saturday, and I'll be flying that.
Now, if you had to take that, what would say to be the longest distance a plane like that could travel?
I could travel about, well, I'd say from here it could go non-stop to probably Charlotte, North Carolina. That holds a lot more fuel than this one here.
Sure.
That uses jet fuel. It's a turboprop airplane. It's nice and modern. It's made by Saab of Sweden.
Seems like a nice plane to fly.
Beautiful airplane. It's a couple of $1 million, and our company's got about 60 of them right now.
Good.
And they're supposed to get, I think, 73.
And you said you're going out again Saturday.
I go out again Saturday. I fly to Boston, Syracuse, LaGuardia, all over the Northeast.
Good. Well, send us a postcard.
I will do.
Good.
Maybe if we get through this okay, I'll take you for a ride in that one.
Okay.
Okay. Same thing. We just want to continue checking the propeller. Okay. One other important thing over here, Tom, we didn't check is the alternator belt. Right there.
That's just like a car.
Just like a car. Lose that, we only have a few minutes on the battery power. Okay. This is the carburetor air filter. We want to make sure that that's clear, which it is. Okay. Back around here, same thing. We just want to check, make sure that this tank has enough fuel in it, and that looks good. And just continue on here. Check the strut, leading edge, that pitot tube we talked about earlier. Make sure it's not clogged. This over here is a fuel vent. When they fuel the airplanes to full in the summertime, you get the heat that expands the fuel and it comes out the vent line. Landing light and taxi light. Self-explanatory. All right. Back around here, we have our red light. And in addition, we also have strobe lights on this. It just enhances them. You're able to see and avoid. Okay. Makes you easy to spot, especially at nighttime. Okay, I don't have to yell now. That airplane left.
Right.
Coming in over here, we just want to check the last aileron here. Little wiggle here. Just checking, make sure everything is tight and secure. Check the flap, you should have a little play. And check this tire here, it's filled, and we should be all set.
Where's the chapel?
Where's the chapel? Okay. Side of the cross.
We're all ready?
We're all set.
All right, we're all set. Tom, you all ready? Let's go.
You want to wait for that?
Get ready, I guess, to start the engine now, and you just had a very good point about when you're ready to start the engine.
Right. Prior to starting the airplane, you always want to look around, make sure there's nobody on the ramp that's close by to the propeller, and you want to yell out the window, "Clear prop." It advises everybody that you're ready to start the engine and stand clear. So why don't you go ahead and yell "Clear prop" outside for me, Tom?
Clear prop!
Okay, take one last look around, and we're ready to start.
Okay.
Come on. Okay, let's try it one more time. Give it a little prime. Now
That's a good sign, Tom.
No. That happens at times. Okay. So
Now it'll stay running?
It'll stay running, I hope. Once we start the engine time, we want to idle at about 1,000 RPM. Make sure that the oil pressure comes up into the green arc within about 30 seconds. If it doesn't, shut the engine down to avoid possible engine damage.
Okay.
All right? And I guess we're ready to start.
Okay, we're ready.
Why don't you bring the flaps up for me? We don't need those. Bring them all the way up, and you'll just double check the flaps are coming up. Okay?
All right.
And we'll go ahead and give the ground controller a call. We're going to be calling ground on 21.9. This person is in the control tower, and they're in charge of all the movements of the airplanes on the ground.
Okay.
Okay? Westchester Ground, good afternoon. Cessna 9914 Lima is at Panorama, ready to taxi with November. Come on. Try that one. Westchester Ground, Cessna 9914 Lima, Panorama with November, ready to taxi.
Cessna 9914 Lima, Westchester Ground, taxi runway 29er.
Runway 29, Cessna 94 Lima. Okay, clear on the right there, Tom?
All clear.
Clear left. Take the parking brake off, and we'll go ahead and taxi. We're going to be taxiing to runway 29.
Okay.
Now, there's an aircraft that looks like he's coming in on the south entrance, so we'll go ahead and come on to the left side here. Clear left and right.
Westchester Ground, DHL 7's.
So you can see I have to give it a little power to get it rolling, and then I just use the pedals to stop it.
DHL 7, roger, hold your position.
You don't want to taxi too fast. They say you taxi at a brisk walk, just in case there's a problem, and you can stop the airplane pretty quickly.
Now this plane ahead of us is waiting to take off?
Ground Skyhawk 64088, Charlie to
We're going to
Panorama.
go right behind him.
64088, Westchester Ground, taxi to Panorama. 28, thanks.
Turn the airplane like this. And do what's called a run-up. This is where we put the engine to 1,700 RPM, and we want to check the engine right one last time before we depart. Make sure it's not backfiring or it's running properly.
Hold short runway 29, taxiway Echo. DHL 7 taxi, taxiway Charlie, establish air contact tower 119.7 to 12708, altimeter 3005. Thank you so much.
This is really what the big airliners do. That you hear them rev the jets before they get ready to go down the runway, right?
That's one last time to check the airplane out to make sure it's acceptable for flight. Just check all our controls.
Ground 6631 Sierra off Echo to taxi Delta to Echo Titan.
6631 Sierra, Westchester Ground, roger. Taxi over the hold short line, make a 180 and hold short of the runway. I'll get you back across momentarily.
Oh, okay.
Now who's he speaking to at that point?
He's speaking to that airplane right there.
Ground, Truck 83 at Panorama to the terminal.
Truck 83,
It's a whole different language too, different phraseology.
Hold for Cessna inbound to Panorama, then hold short of taxiway Echo on Foxtrot.
Did that plane just come in?
Just came in, yeah.
Foxtrot, give way to Cessna, Truck 83.
Okay, now I'm going to go over to the tower.
Down to 500 Papa Charlie, 3-4 clear for takeoff.
Now we have one airplane ahead of us, as you can see, so we can't go anywhere until he's out of the way.
DHL 7's ready, Charlie.
500 Papa Charlie, without delay, sir, roll. And King at 5598 Lima is cleared to land, runway 34.
Okay, Tom, we just been cleared onto the runway.
Third land 34, 98 Lima. And 69 order, ready to go, 29, we're number 1, and Mike right turn out, then fly following. 10 home. Everybody steps on each other.
Is that check 328, runway 34, taxi position home.
End of the hold, 328.
00 Whiskey, land as soon as possible, left turn to the south front without delay.
Yeah.
Turn right, taxiway
And
Tango,
we'll have to wait for that airplane to clear the runway.
39, turn right on taxiway Tango.
So we can still get out if we wanted to.
Last chance.
1 Lima without delay, runway 29 clear for takeoff, same direction of flight.
I have to go straight out, sir.
Departure approved without delay, 29 clear for takeoff.
We're rolling.
69 River is number 1 and 29, but right by following, and now right turn out.
29, say your numbers.
69 or 110.
110, runway 29, taxi position on traffic, runway 34.
Position home.
feel everything while you're going up in this plane.
Everything is just so sensitive.
Yeah.
This is all just part of Rye Lake, Kensico Reservoir out here. It's kind of an airplane time. You climb out at about 75, 80 miles an hour.
We're going to take the quick left here. Right, left turn on runway 1129. I'm in that, sir. Make that right on Delta Mega 18. I'll get you across. Traffic holding in position on 29, okay? Okay, then we're going to Aero Service. You're going to Aero Service. I understand, sir.
What do you
Right
think?
on taxiway, Delta.
It's exciting. It really is.
Right across,
It's a
sir.
whole
Thank
different
you.
sensation, you know. It's a
You sort of feel like you're suspended in air almost. It really
I
does.
feel like you're going that fast, doesn't
No,
it?
it doesn't. You
Yeah.
said right now we're going about 75, 80 miles an hour?
Yep. We're doing 75 right
And
now.
District 328, contact New York Squad. Good day.
Tom, just up off to the right side.
Challenge your,
Kensico Reservoir.
Right.
3 Pop Charlie on departure squad 0247. 0247. 981 is on 2 mile, miles 34. 981 is circa runway 34. 981 clear to land 34.
Tom, off the left, you'll see the city of White Plains, where you work, right?
Yep.
And just to the south of that, you'll see this New York City.
Yep. And now over to our right, we can see the Kensico Dam. And I'd like,
And King here, 98 wing unit 36. Yes, sir. Runway 34, make to the right side of that one. Clear the crowd from there, right. Runway 2, turn right, taxi, single contact ground 18, good day.
How's that? Is that a good view for you?
it's excellent. It really is amazing from up here.
It's pretty. A few bumps here and there, nothing to worry about.
Runway 1, Mike 2, and runway 200 is clear for takeoff.
You can see the old,
Mike 9, 110, we're rolling at 29.
you can see the old aerators down there, Tom.
Yeah, you can see them. They're right there. The aerated building, you can see the main office there also.
Gates of Heaven Cemetery down there.
King here, 9, name and contact ground.
You know, the thing is, someone who is not an experienced flyer, when you're in a larger plane, I mean, and those of us I know who, as I said earlier, are a little skeptical about flying, every little bump and curve, you kind of have a little worry about it. But when you're up here with somebody that you know, you really have a little bit more faith in the entire plane.
Right. It's just because the weather is constantly changing, and there's always wind, there's always convection, you know, the sun hitting the ground, the air rising, that just causes the bumps. We'll go ahead and level off at 2,000 feet here. Yeah, we'll go to cruise power, which is 2,300 RPM. That should quiet things down a little.
And then up right ahead, we can see the Tappan Zee Bridge. As rush hour hits Westchester, it's 5 o'clock right now. Ed, when I had the controls, there's a real sense of responsibility. And everything is real, just the slightest movement, really, it's a sensitive control
Very
steering.
sensitive controls because of the speed that we're flying through the air. That air is coming over those ailerons in that elevator, and just the slightest movement on it is going to just...
Yeah, I can really tell that.
I'll make a turn over here over the Tappan Zee for you, Tom.
Okay.
First time you've been over the Tappan Zee without having to pay the toll, right?
That's exactly right. You know what I feel like? I feel like one of those traffic guys in the morning who are going over and surveying the traffic, but today the traffic on the Tappan Zee is not bad at all.
You know what I think I like the most of this whole flying experience? It's just the view you get. It's just, you get just a bird's eye view. You can see everything.
Well, you know, we've known this for a long time, but Westchester is absolutely beautiful.
I agree. It's so diverse. It's one of the most beautiful counties I've ever been in.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, tell you what, we'll continue the turn. We'll head south down the Hudson.
Okay.
And we'll probably make a left turn over Yonkers, and we'll go visit Tuckahoe, all right?
Sounds good. Did you have your hands ready?
Okay. Now, just get the nose, just push forward and get the nose down. That's it. That's it. Give me a slight turn to the right. We'll head down the west side of the Hudson. That's it. See, the whole thing with flying, Tom, is you want to make corrections.
Right.
Sightseeing. All right.
How much you want to take over?
Yeah, we just need to go down a little. Let me get the airplane down.
Sure. You got it?
Yep. Now let's see if we can figure out where we are.
Bronxville High's there, but I can see Sagamore Road.
That's where you live.
In fact, I can see my apartment building from here right now. For our viewers, the white building, I guess, on the right-hand side right now is 108 Sagamore, and as we look down, we can see the intersection of Fisher Avenue and Columbus Avenue.
All right, this will be a good time to turn. We'll get over right overhead.
As we make a right-hand turn now with the village over on our right, and I guess we're looking over Oakland Avenue and Highview Avenue, and I can see Marbledale Road, and now we're traveling north on White Plains Road. And we're heading right down White Plains Road now. We're flying over the Amhac building.
You can see just off to the right the Crestwood Lake.
I can see Crestwood Lake, you're right. Right now, I guess we're flying over Chow's Restaurant, and we're heading over Immaculate Conception School. You can see that right down below. There's Main Street Tuckahoe on our right-hand side. And there's the top of the Gentry building. It looks like we could probably land a helicopter on top of the Gentry.
This should get you a better view right now, Tom. Right over downtown Tuckahoe.
And there for our viewers is the Revlon property. Everybody can see that there's a lot of work going on at the Revlon property. But one thing I can see Sheila Clark's hanging baskets hanging along the street sides, and they look great from up here.
They do add some beauty to the village.
Yeah, they do. I hope Tom Kennedy's having a good time in the back as we film this, because we're getting some great aerial shots. And for the viewers who use the Bronx River and the lake, you can really see the amount of silt that's building up in our lake, and we're hoping that the County of Westchester will come down and give us a hand and dredge that out. But you can see the Crestwood Railroad Station from up above. It looks so tiny.
How about the new Crestwood Market, Tom, where both you and I worked as kids?
We can see the new Crestwood Market right from here. I can see the trees right in front of it. You can see the bakery, Danicchio's pharmacy, the bank, Villarinas. They're all in plain sight, and Ernie, in fact, is outside waving to us right now.
I can see him right here. He's got his white apron on with a little blood stain there.
From the butcher department. And I think if we look a little farther out there, we can see Dante Avenue and Joanne Kennedy out there with the two kids, telling Tom to stay up in the air for a while.
Hello, Joanne.
This is really remarkable up here. The view is even better than I imagined.
Yeah, we have a day with in excess of 20 miles visibility. It doesn't get any better than this, Tom, because as it gets warmer, you know, you get a lot of haze. Haze reduces the visibility, and you can't see for more than about 2 or 3 miles.
But the thing that's incredible is that we're just able to just keep going around and around. And I really thought that things would seem a lot more cluttered, because obviously, because I've never flown this low before.
Right. No, everything's laid out very nicely. Back here you can see the Parkway Oval now with the baseball field, the diamonds, the little daycare center just on the road.
It's real nice. We can see Clinton Place, and there's just a couple of homes on Clinton, and almost from up above looks like its own island there, tucked right in back of the Tower Club. And you can see from up here how hilly everything is in Tuckahoe.
Sure can.
Now what I have to look for is I have to look for Alpine Place.
Okay,
and there.
Here you have Fisher Avenue, Tom.
I see Fisher Avenue as it's winding up.
And I'll make a wide enough turn where you'll be able to see, we'll get enough room on the right side of the airplane. But as we make the turn here, you'll see we have Crestwood train station, follow the road up.
Right, I see the car, I see Crescent, and then I can see Alpine Place. It's real difficult, but there it is, Alpine Place. The trees are on the left. You can see the telephone company parking lot, and you can see a row of maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses. The Grippos, the McCabe's, DeSantos lives next to us now, my parents' home, and then the Ventrescas and the Boyds. So up here you can really pick everything out, and then you can see, I guess, Marbledale Road and the business quarry. You can see the American Bistro restaurant, the Audi dealership that's there where all the cars are parked back there. It's fascinating, really, how much you can pick up here.
Okay, Tom, let's see. We're coming down Main Street one more time.
You know, tonight, for the first time at 5:15, traffic on Main Street is not that bad. Normally they're backed up all the way, maybe all the way down to Wallace Street, but tonight, no such traffic. They probably know that we're up here. You got a great view of Metro North from up here, and they're going to repaint the Crestwood fence this week all along the railroad, so that'll be a nice trip. Yeah, it will.
Tom, where does Mayor White live? Maybe we can go pay him a visit.
Mayor White lives over on Stewart. He is just south of the intersection of Marbledale and Lincoln. So we look from Marbledale, Lincoln, north of Marbledale and Lincoln. We'll be able to see it.
Should be Fisher Avenue again.
There's Fisher Avenue, and there, I guess, is Lincoln Avenue. That's Lincoln right there. So Phil is just up north here at this next intersection that's coming up. In fact, I believe I can see Phil's home there. It's a gray home on the corner. And that, in fact, is Phil's house right there on the corner. I know it might be difficult from here, but he's a corner home right on the corner of Lawrence Avenue, and it's right there it's right there on the right-hand side. You can see his driveway is closest to us right now. And there's a red car, in fact, going right by Phil's house at that time. And then if you take Phil Street up, it goes right in front of St. Luke's Church, which is right on the corner of Lincoln Avenue, right near White Plains Road. And it's funny, I've been by this apartment complex, Leewood, hundreds of times, and to see it from up above is really something else.
It's a whole different vantage point from it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how the roads are laid out, and the different cul-de-sacs you see, the different circles.
Everything seems so hectic to us down there, and up here, there's really no noise other than obviously from the plane. But
I guess that's why I got hooked on flying. It's just, I got the bug early, the views, the freedom, I just love it.
Yeah, there really does seem to be a lot of freedom. Ed, one of the things I mentioned to the viewers earlier that I'd like to share with us is that I really had a real tough time when we were up in the air, every bump and grind, and you had a real good explanation when you're flying up there about those bumps and grinds. Can you tell our viewers about that?
Well, as you're flying, Tom, you have the wind on the ground. The wind is hitting the uneven surfaces. You know, you see, we don't live in a flat area. We have a lot of hills, we have valleys, and we have a lot of water around, and all those combined create a lot of different, just a lot of turbulence. In addition to that, the sun plays a big part, because when that's up high enough, it heats the ground. The ground is now nice and hot. It has a lot of moisture. The air just rises. That's known as convection, and that just causes some updrafts, and that's what we feel. That's those little bumps that we feel.
And really, when you're up there in the air, a lot of times you said pilots are really in a lane of traffic.
They sure
and a lot of times they're in with autopilot, and really you're sitting up there, like you said, really feeling sorry for us in the back that we're putting up with some of those bumps. There's really not a lot you can do about it.
There's really nothing. What we try to do is, maybe if there's an aircraft ahead of us that's on the same route, if he's at a different altitude, we'll go ahead and ask him what his ride is like, if he's experienced the same type of turbulence we are.
Now we're going over at East Chester High School, and you got a great view of the ball fields down there.
Let me swing it out a little better for you, Tom, so you get a better shot. Well,
now I guess this over here is Ann Hutchinson. As we look right down White Plains Road, we can see Ann Hutch.
this is all Huntley Estates back here.
Yeah. And now you can see East Chester Town Hall. We should have told the supervisor that we'd be flying over. Maybe he could have been on the roof waving to us.
Oh yeah, maybe with a little white flag or something, so we can pick them out. You can see, what's it, Oak Ridge Place, the apartments right down here, the East Chester Library.
Grand Union.
Grand Union.
Everyone's there at Grand Union.
Hey, here's a better shot of East Chester High School now, Tom. And just past that, you'll see the Lake Isle Country Club.
Oh.
Why don't we go ahead and turn around there a couple times?
Okay, great. Yeah, and over on this side, we're flying over right now Leewood Country Club, but you got a really great shot of the town-owned facility of Lake Isle Country Club.
Tom, let me know if you see any pretty girls over the pool.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
There's Alex and Henry's. I know Mario Faustini's probably down there. You really got a great shot of Lord and Taylor's, but here we have the first hole at Lake Isle. That's a great shot of the first hole. coming back the treacherous 18th hole, coming up the hill going north on White Plains Road.
I've lost many a ball on White Plains Road on that hole.
Well, Ed, you were out there today. You said you were golfing at Carvel's place in northern New York. You shot a 90. That's a good round.
Shot a 90, and that was without any cheating, Tom.
Got to count every one of those strokes. Now I guess we're over Twin Lakes. Is that right?
That's right.
And there's where Interlaken has a little beach there. You can see that. They have a great little place out there. And there's a rock, Ed, that I've swum out to. Well, actually, I could say I barely made it out there because I was a little out of breath. And that's only about halfway out. I have friends, Jim Cavanaugh and his wife, Connie Cullen. They swim regularly out to that island there.
Wow.
And that, even up here, it even looks like more of an adventure.
Oh, it is. How deep is that water? Any idea, Tom?
No, I understand that it's pretty deep.
What we'll do, Tom, is we'll head over to the Sound, go up to Stamford, and come back in.
Now, Ed, what is the facility that I'm looking at over here on my right-hand side? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Are we over Eastchester now?
No, I think we're over New Rochelle.
And I'm going to take a look at the Sound.
That's the mark for me, West Top. It's straight into runway 29.
All right, Tom, I don't know if can you make out the airport straight ahead?
Straight ahead now. There it is, over there.
Engine 7100, turn right on Charlie ground point.
There, I got it. I got it right in. Perfect.
Okay, 502, third man, race 34. Third man, 34, to be there, 502.
Now, it's going to be bumpy, but...
Ed, is this the runway now that we saw planes landing on the way to take off?
We are now, yes.
This is the runway that we took off of. The other runway is runway 34. That's an intersecting runway.
Oh, okay. Is there anything special you have to do for landing?
No. Just put the flaps down and slow down.
I really are a good view of the airport.
It is nice, yeah.
Computer 664, race 34, taxi position. On a total 34, computer 664.
Now, are we over Connecticut right now?
Yeah, we're over Greenwich right now. Greenwich, New Canaan.
Commuter 502, turn right on taxi, taking ground for the taxi on the ground for 502.
Ed, from here, how many miles did you say we are to the airport?
We're about 3 miles from the airport.
Hello, Tower, Mooney 201, Victor Whiskey, Tampa, C, bound for 34. 201, Victor Whiskey, West Italian, left base, runway 34. Left base 34, 1 BW. And commuter 664, runway 34, clear for takeoff. Clear.
Now I'm starting to slow it down, Tom.
366, are we clear for touch and go? 366, clear for touch and go, runway 2. Clear for touch and go, 29er, what about the beach 1900? Commuter 664, cancel for takeoff, transfer your position, please. Okay, that's a good idea, we'll hold.
Hey, Ed, I noticed the seatbelt light hasn't gone on yet.
Oh, okay, there we go. It's on now.
Commuter 664, runway 34, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, 664. 664, you clear for takeoff now, commuter 664. Yes, sir, just getting our breath here. No problem. 366 will be a full stop. 366 full stop? Affirmative, 366. And turn left on taxiway Charlie, Tango, to ground point, good day. Left on Tango, 366.
That's our landing clears.
Full Lima is third man, runway 29.
Okay, Tom, we just been cleared to land.
Okay.
Now you'll see they're going to cross the United Center.
Tower 37, taking that way, thank you. Tower 2, frequency change, bro, good day, sir.
Did we land yet?
We are cleared
Oh,
to
there
land,
it
but
is.
see, they're anticipating him crossing before we get there. That's perfect.
Okay, 664, contact unit,
I'm going to get a close-up on that plane. There it is. It's crossing. So what did you say? That's a 737?
Yeah, that's a United Airlines 737. On his way to probably Washington.
Uh-huh. Now this is one of the parts of the flight I hate when you hear that engine dying down.
Well, even if it dies now, we have the runway made.
Okay. I like that confidence, Ed.
This is it, Tom. I'll try to make it as smooth as I can for you.
Okay.
Hang on, guys.
Oh, that was good. That was an excellent landing.
Thank you.
14 Lima, turn left, taxiway Tango, ground point 8.
We can open up the windows, get some air in here. Ground system 1 clear 29.
And the first one clear on runway 29. Taxi 2 short of runway 34 on Taxiway Hotel. What's your number?
Yeah, it's 14 Lima. We'll taxi 2 and hold short of 34 Hotel.
14 Lima, roger. Taxi 239, cross runway 29, taxi. Taxi runway 34, intersection departure from Taxiway Hotel.
239, crossing.
Well, Ed, we've landed at the county airport, and that was a great trip. As you said when we were up there, I guess we had ideal flying conditions.
Oh, this is perfect, Tom. We had hardly any wind, and we had an excess, like I said, of 20 miles visibility. Just a perfect day all around.
It was really a lot of fun once we got over the Tappan Zee and you gave me control of the planes. The sensitivity in the controls is unbelievable, but it really is a feeling of you're nervous, but at the same time you feel responsibility. You have other people in the plane.
That's right. That's what we feel all the time, you know, because there's times we have, 100 people in the back, and we know that their lives are in our hands, and we do the best job we can.
Well, Ed, we had a great time today, and I want to say a special thanks to Tom Kennedy, who did a super job of helping us put this program together. And I know Tom and I went up, and we were not nervous, I think a little apprehensive being in a small plane the first time, but I think we came through.
I think a lot of people are, because they always, you always hear that it's sensationalized in the newspapers about air crashes and things like that, but when you think about it, there are more car crashes each day than there have ever been airplane crashes.
Well, I really felt safe up there, probably more than anything because of the fact that I know you, right. And I know that you're a great pilot. There also seemed to be a real sense of calm up there, that there wasn't. When you're on a bigger jet, I guess, you hear a lot of noise, a lot of people talking, and
right.
a lot of the stewardesses going up and down. But in this, it's very quiet, very serene, and you're kind of blocking everything out.
Yeah, the larger airplanes, they have different hydraulic control rods. They have different electrical equipment, and you'll hear every little thing. Anytime they put a flap handle up or down, you're going to hear something. Anytime they put the gear up or down, and there's a lot more things. And just because the aircraft is a lot longer, it's built in sections. So if you hit any kind of turbulence, those different sections are going to rattle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then of course you have stuff in the overhead panels, the overhead luggage areas,
yeah.
which are going to rattle around, and so I think you're more in tune in the larger airplane to the different noises.
Well, we want to say a special thanks to you, Ed. We really had a great time, and we appreciate you coming up. And I want to thank Tom Kennedy, who came up with us today, because without his help, we wouldn't be able to put shows like this together. So again, on behalf of the Talk of Tuckahoe, we want to thank Ed Bonci, and again, thank Tom Kennedy, and we certainly want to thank our viewers out there for joining us each month. I'm Tom Doherty, Tuckahoe Village Trustee, and if you have any ideas or suggestions on future shows, I don't know if we're going to be able to beat this show, but give me a call. My number is 337-1990, and again, this has been a special show from the Westchester County Airport and Captain Ed Bonci. Thanks, Ed.
Take care, Tom.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ron Gressner, defenseman for the New York Rangers, and this is my wife, actress model Carol Alt. Almost everyone is aware of the serious, sometimes deadly problem facing more than 2 million of our nation's children.
But fortunately, there is a successful solution. It's the Exchange Club Child Abuse Prevention Program, with more than 50 centers across the United States, where professionally trained volunteer parent aides work with troubled families to develop positive parenting skills. They provide guidance, support, and friendship. We're proud to support the Exchange Club Center in White Plains, New York. Won't you please join in helping the Exchange Club Child Abuse Prevention Centers to stop child abuse in your community?
Children are too precious a gift to abuse.